What's up, Internet? We're talking full-on, full-blown spoilers from last night's episode of The Walking Dead Go-Getters. So here's your spoiler warning. This is Screen Junkies News. Thank you so much for joining us today, Internet. I am Hector Navarro. With me, as always, is my cohort in crime, Mr. John Roca.
Hello,
John,
everybody. How's it going?
Thank you for being here. Doing great.
I wore my Star Trek shirt on our Scott Mance's birthday. Happy birthday, Scott Mance.
Hey, happy birthday, Scott.
Yeah.
Guys, we're talking about last night's episode of The Walking Dead called Go-Getters. And here's the question that I pose to you, the Internet, okay? This is the deal. Is The Walking Dead going to ruin the character of Rick Grimes? And here I will present my evidence.
Okay.
Okay. Exhibit.
So you introduced the question and then you're presenting evidence.
Yes, that's how courts work, John.
This is a new America.
Exhibit. Exactly. Exhibit F.
Yes.
Gregory and Simon. This is the brunt of last night's episode.
Yeah.
Go-Getters dealt with the hilltop, dealt with the ruler Gregory, and here he is talking to the co-Negan, the Negan Jr.
Negan Light.
Simon Negan Light. Thank
Yeah.
you. And the character Gregory, of course, played by Xander Berkeley. A really interesting, frustrating character because he does not have his S together. He is frustratingly weak and weak-willed, and he's an alcoholic, and he's been beat down, and we're getting clues as to how this character got to where he was, where he lost everybody else and was the last remaining survivor, so then he became the sort of de facto person in charge and has to be the person that deals with Negan. So we're getting a little hints of his backstory, and I believe that the reason that the show is focused on the hilltop last night and focused on Gregory's leadership and focused on him is to show a contrast to what is happening to Rick.
Yeah.
My worry is that Rick is going to turn into an unlikable character. We know that Rick is beat down. We know that we haven't seen him rise up yet, coming back from what he's dealt with Negan and losing his friends and family and loved ones. But I have a worry, I have a real concern that Rick is going to become an unlikable, beaten down character like Gregory was. John, what say you?
Well, I think it's a great point you bring up, Hector, that we can talk about here, because this is like, you're right, you're just showing Gregory as a kind of a test case of what could happen, right? This could be the future of Rick. You could see Rick in 10, 15 years, if he's under Negan's rule, he could end up like this because you could forget what it was like to fight, forget what it was like to challenge authority, to fight back. But I think this is more like what you see in the sea, where the undertow pulls the wave back, real back, and then slams it down. And this is what I think might be happening with Rick, is the show is allowing him to pull back, because Rick has always kind of stepped up to the plate. He's always had these villains that kind of quite weren't 100% that scary, like Governor was not that scary, and all these kinds of villains were not that scary, so he was always able to fight back. He was always able to rely on his crew to come back, and it doesn't seem like he can do that now, because they're all off doing their own thing. We saw last night on the hilltop, Maggie and Sasha essentially do a bloodless coup over Gregory, and with Jesus' help.
Yes.
So you have that. So there was a lot of flaccid stuff coming from Gregory's side. So sure, are we afraid? Legitimate to be afraid of it, but I don't think that's going to happen, because I think what they're setting up for is they're letting Negan really, and Simon and everybody underneath Negan really breathe new life into this villain role and have them take center stage for a little while. And you see the women are starting to fight back. You see Maggie and Sasha doing things. You see Michonne is really kind of separating from that kiss she
Maggie
gave Rick.
punched Gregory.
Yeah, Maggie punched Gregory.
Yeah, which was awesome.
Exactly.
Great moment.
Exactly. Those are powerful moments. And you're seeing Michonne, of course, pulling herself away as well from the situation when she's kissing Rick. There's something about that kiss that is like, if you've ever been in a relationship, you know that kiss. That kiss is like, it could end or it could go forward depending on what you do after I kiss you like this, right? So it seems like that's what's happening.
I'm glad we're talking about this moment too, the Rick kissing Michonne. I mean, I think we're all rooting for them. I've been rooting for them as a couple since we learned that they were a couple. But the Michonne character especially is another character that you could argue that kind of has been ruined in the past couple episodes. Now, is this a character who's been reeling with, again, what everybody's been dealing with? No. Or is she somebody who has been asked to take a backseat to just deal with Negan for the time being? Or is this going to be who she is to sort of support and stay with Rick? But that's a real concern, and I think that when we see characters like Gregory, again, let's show that clip of him talking to Jesus. We see a potential to happen, and for me, the thing about Michonne, the thing about Maggie, the thing about Sasha, the thing about these female characters, to an extent, even Enid for taking some of her own fate in her own hands in last night's episode, gives me hope that these characters will sort of help the male characters get their S together, if you will.
Well, I think that's what's going to happen. I think that's the difference with when you talk about Gregory. You said he was like the last one left, therefore he kind of became the de facto leader. But with Rick, you have these very strong women who are going to push him, help him to reclaim his strength, help the other guys reclaim their strengths and kind of step forward. You see them pushing back. And it's about time the show did that and gave them more of a central focus.
Here's a question to you, John. Here's a question to you. Again, let's show this clip of Maggie using this tractor from last night. I love this bit. It was a little bit foolish, but the question to you is, do you think that Maggie and Sasha, and maybe now Enid, are going to stay at the hilltop and become maybe the leaders? At the end of this episode, we had Jesus mention that he thinks he knows who he wants to rule. And they were like, who are you talking about? And he's like, we'll talk about it later. Is this going to be Sasha and Maggie's domain, and then Rick is going to stay in Alexandria? Or are they going to team up with Rick, maybe go back to Alexandria and still be part of Rick's group?
I think both things are going to happen. I think they're going to take over the hilltop, absolutely. And we're setting up what we've seen, and we talked about this on the Collider Walking Dead last night. It's about the fact they're setting up a battle of 5 armies. That seems like what they're setting up, that kind of template. So everyone's going to come together and then come after Negan at the end, which is why you need Rick to kind of take a back seat. And so I understand the fears, but I think he's going to be step up when he needs to step up. But I like this idea of Maggie and Sasha taking over. I think they're definitely going to take over Hilltop, make it run more efficiently, mostly train them all to be fighters and warriors. So when the battle happens, because that's something Rick did in Alexandria, right? We talked about this last time. Rick went in Alexandria and taught them how to fight. Therefore, kind of the indirect result is he has these warriors underneath that are ready to go and can train other people, kind of like Negan has Simon to do his bidding. Rick, in a way, has these people lined up, and a majority of women now that we're seeing them come forward here in the show to step in and train and get everybody ready to fight.
I'm not saying that Rick isn't going in a dramatic change that it could be interesting. I'm saying that I'm worried that he's going to become an unlikable character.
That's fair.
You know, the way that we saw with Gregory, because my God, Gregory is so unlikable.
Yes.
I hate that guy.
Yeah.
He's the worst. So at least we can agree, John, last night's episode was super boring, but it was all definitely set up. Okay, we understand that. We get that we're only a couple of episodes into the season 7, and like you're saying, it's a battle of 5 armies. But who cares what John and I think, especially John? Who cares what John thinks? We want to know what you guys think on the internet. John, seriously though, thanks for being here. John, guys on the internet, we want to know what you think. Go ahead and comment below. Are you worried that Rick is going to turn into somebody who is unlikable? Are you confident that Rick is going to come back in a big bad way? What did you think of last night's episode? Worst ever? Did you forget about Vatos? Let's not forget about Vatos, season 1. Still the worst episode ever for The Walking Dead. So guys, if you want to tweet at us, you can do that at SJ News. Again, just be sure to comment below. Let us know what you thought. And you guys can always watch more videos right here. We'll see you guys tomorrow with a bunch of stuff in Screen Junkies News. Bye.